Good evening and welcome to the Week in Review. This is your one-stop shop for a comprehensive summary of the major news stories and events that shaped the week. Catch up on any important news you may have missed and join me as we dive into the latest developments in politics, economy, sports, and more. From the halls of power to the streets of our cities, we've got you covered. Sit back, relax, and let's review the week that was. I'm your presenter, Ishaku Yohana. Welcome back. The Federal Executive Council, FEC, has put on hold discussions on the new minimum wage memo to allow President Bola Tinubu more time for consultations with stakeholders. This decision was announced by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, after the council meeting on Tuesday. The president is expected to make a decision and send an executive bill to the National Assembly soon. President Bola Tinubu has ordered the purchasing and selling of foodstuff worth 155 billion naira to be distributed across the country. The president gave the approval during the National Economic Council NEC meeting on Thursday in Abuja, where he urged state governors to work together to meet the needs of citizens. President Tinubu also approved the delivery of a 50,000 naira uplift grant each to 100,000 families per state for 3 months. Now let's go to the National Assembly, where in a historic move, the Nigerian Senate on Thursday approved the extension of the implementation of the 2023 Appropriation Act and the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act till December 31st, 2024. This decision enables the concurrent implementation of the capital components of the 2023 and 2024 budgets. The Senate's resolution follows consideration of President Bola Tinubu's request, which urged it to approve the extension, citing the need for sufficient time to complete critical projects and ensure the effective utilization of budgetary allocations. Meanwhile, an intense and dramatic scene unfolded at the House of Representatives on Thursday as lawmakers engaged in a fierce debate over President Bola Tinubu's request to extend the implementation period for the budget.
The letter for the extension of the implementation period for the capital component of the 2023 budget and the supplementary budgets to December 2024 was read by Speaker Abbas Tajuddin, after which the executive bills requesting the extension were introduced. However, when the leader of the House, Professor Julius Ihobere, moved for the second reading of the bills, the House Minority Leader, Kingsley Chinda, raised concerns over the request for extension of the two budgets.
I rise to move that the bill form act to amend the Appropriation Act 2023 to further extend the implementation of the capital aspect of the Appropriation Act 2023 from 30th June 2024 to 31st December 2024, and for related matters, HB 1560 be read a second time. I so move.
2023 supplementary budget. We take them over to the 2024 supplementary budget so that we can have just two budgets running in the country. That way, we would have achieved everything that we intend to achieve. If we have all the capital projects in 2023 that is not concluded and 2024.
Former leader of the House, Alhassan Adodogoa, in his contribution also supported the position of the minority leader, saying it would be morally wrong to have three budgets running at the same time.
Mr. Speaker, I rise here very extraordinarily to say for the first time that I agree with the submissions made by the minority leader of the House today. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, that has got nothing to do with my perpetual affiliation to the ruling party, the APC, which I'm still proud of. Mr. Speaker, I want to honestly say that even though it's legal, Mr. Speaker, this is unprecedented. You have two substantive budgets, 2023, being extended to 31st of December and running them concurrently. You have other supplementary budgets, sir.
Speaker Abbas Tajuddin, while intervening, appealed to members to support the extension of the budget implementation, saying most of the items on the supplementary budget were security-related issues. Despite his pleas, majorities of the lawmakers appeared not comfortable with the request for extension of the budget as they kept on shouting, "No, no."
It is for our own good, it is for the good of the country. So I want to please urge and implore our members to please support this. It is to enhance the security of this country, without which nothing can move. So please kindly support this, support the progress of our country, please.
Following the development, Speaker Bas Tajuddin asked that the House go into an executive session for members to iron out issues before resuming consideration of the bills. From the National Assembly, Godwin Amunde, Rapid Television News.
Contrary to reports, the Kogi State government has clarified that it is indeed paying the 30% minimum wage to its workers. The Special Advisor on Labor Matters, Onu Eduka, addressed journalists at the NLC headquarters in Abuja. Let's hear from him.
Onu Eduka, Special Advisor on Labor Matters to the Kogi State Governor, has debunked claims that the state government is not paying the 30% minimum wage to its workers. During a courtesy visit to the NLC President, Joe Ajaero, at the NLC headquarters in Abuja, Eduka stated that the governor, Alhaji Usman Ododo, has ushered in a new era of harmonious labor relations in Kogi State. He assured that workers in the state receive their salaries promptly every month, with 100% of pensioners also paid at both state and local government levels.
The governor is implementing 35% of hazard allowance to all categories of health workers at the state level. We equally have on notice too that His Excellency is already paying 100% salary pension to both local government workers and state pensioners. His Excellency has added value to the NLC Secretariat by providing them at the state level, by providing them with a transformer and linking them to 33 kVA at the state level. He has equally graciously approved for implementation now a harmonized commerce salary for veterinary doctors in the states.
In response, NLC President Joe Ajaero pledged the union's support for the Kogi State government if it continues to prioritize workers' welfare.
So as a movement, we are going to give us all the necessary support. It didn't just start with them, like he explained to you. All the governor and his deputy were former workers, and now they are governors and deputy governors. So, and that may have informed them looking at some other lieutenants from the same fold to work with. So we can but wish them the best and pray that their tenure will be successful. And I advise them that they should not forget whose father they are. They should not forget their family, you know, when they read there. There are things that unionists can do. So they should not do those things that unionists can do.
From Abuja, Irene Okechukwu, Rapid TV News.
In Rivers State, former chairman of 21 out of 23 local government areas early in the week staged protests at their various council headquarters, defying a police order. The protests were in support of former Governor Nyesom Wike, who has been having a running battle with his successor, Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The crisis in Rivers State has been ongoing since the fallout between Wike, who is now the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and Fubara. The situation has led to impeachment attempts, clashes between lawmakers, and even a recent explosion in Port Harcourt, the state capital. Also in the week, the Labour Party crisis took a new turn as the national chairman, Julius Abure, was suspended by his Ward 3 executive in Edo State over allegations of high-handedness, fraud, and anti-party activities. In a related development, the Nigerian Labour Congress Transition Committee stormed the Labour Party headquarters in Abuja, demanding the immediate resignation of Julius Abure as national chairman. The protesters, led by acting chairman Abdul Wahid Omar, chanted solidarity songs and claimed Abure's tenure has expired. This development has generated significant attention in Nigerian political circles, with many speculating about the reasons behind the decision. And the Nigeria Ethnic Nationalities Youth Leaders Council Worldwide has called for the immediate removal of the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, over serious corruption allegations. Let's hear from them.
Nigeria is one of Africa's top oil producers, but imports refined petroleum products for its own use. The nation's oil and natural gas sector has struggled for many years, and most of its state-run refineries operate far below capacity because of the poor maintenance. Successive governments promised to revamp the sector, but without any positive results. With the construction of the Dangote refinery, many Nigerians heave a sign of relief, believing that the African's biggest oil refinery would boost refining capacity in a region heavily reliant on imported petroleum products. The $19 billion facility, which has a capacity to produce 650,000 barrels per day, has started to produce diesel and aviation fuel. But the differences are yet to be seen by Nigerians, as fuel is still being sold between 670 and 800 naira per litre respectively. But at the weekend, the Dangote Group accused international oil companies, IOCs, operating in Nigeria of planning to ensure the failure of the $19 billion refining facility. According to the Vice President, Oil and Gas at Dangote Industries Limited, Devakuma Edwin, the multinationals were deliberately frustrating the refinery's effort to buy local crude by jacking up premium price above the market price. Saddened by this development, these youth groups, comprising of over 407 ethnic nationalities youth leaders in Nigeria, calls for a total overhaul of the NNPCL.
After throughout analysis of the situation, it's our considered finding that the NNPCL is sabotaging the effort of the government towards making fuel affordable for Nigerians. There's a serious matter considering that Nigeria is operating a manual economy and such. Whatever happened to fuel price has a superior effect.
We have equally challenged the federal government to please, not just we are calling for the removal of Mr. Kyari because we hate his speed, let there be total overhaul of the entire NNPC management because they have failed us. We believe that if Dangote had offered himself and his company to salvage the situation, he made it categorically clear before the Senate President during his visit to the company that he's prepared to face the monsters. Who are these monsters? He reckoned before the Senate President.
The youth leaders, while describing the situation as unacceptable, says it was strange that all the hopes the citizens placed on the Dangote refinery to bring down the cost of fuel were being frustrated. They threatened to embark on a nationwide protest if their demands to sack GMD of NNPCL, Mele Kyari, within 7 days were not met.
We have given ultimatum and we're not relenting. If by the 7 days they last and that no action was taken, we are not just hitting this, we will hit the streets. After hitting the streets, we will go back again to write to the we will go to public hearing and National Assembly. After that, we are hitting the to get to the Mr. President. There must be a way out.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
Abuja, Godwin Amundi, Rapid Television News.
In a separate development, former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has asked the court to transfer his money laundering trial from Abuja to Lokoja. Bello's legal team requested that the case be moved to Lokoja, citing territorial jurisdiction. However, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, opposed the transfer, calling it an attempt to frustrate the trial. The court has set July 17 for Bello's arraignment and will rule on EFCC's request to cite Bello's lawyers for contempt. Bello faces 19 counts of alleged money laundering, breach of trust, and misappropriation of funds totaling 80.2 billion naira. And now to Kaduna State, where former Governor Nasir El-Rufai has taken the State House of Assembly to court over allegations of fraud and corruption leveled against him. El-Rufai filed a fundamental rights suit at the Federal High Court in Kaduna, challenging the report of the Kaduna Assembly Committee, which indicted him for allegedly siphoning 432 billion naira from the state. This development comes after an ad hoc committee set up by the State Assembly recommended El-Rufai's prosecution for alleged abuse of office, diversion of public funds, and money laundering. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Lagos has ordered the final forfeiture of $1.4 million linked to former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele. This ruling comes just days after a similar order was made to forfeit over 12.18 billion naira in money and properties also linked to Emefiele. The EFCC has been investigating Emefiele and his associates for alleged fraud and money laundering. This latest development is a significant step in the agency's efforts to recover proceeds of crime and hold accountable those responsible for corruption. As this was happening, Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, appealed the June 19 ruling of the Federal High Court in Abuja, challenging the court's jurisdiction to try him. The appeal challenges the ruling of Justice Binta Inyako, which refused Kanu's application objecting to the court's jurisdiction. This development comes as Kanu's legal team continues to push for his release, citing 9 judgments in his favor. Tragedy struck at the National Assembly during the week under review as Senior Customs Officer Esen Etob Andrew, who was the Deputy Controller, Finance Administration and Technical Service of the Nigerian Customs Service, collapsed and died while fielding questions from the Public Accounts Committee of the House of Representatives. The officer was being questioned as part of an investigation into revenue-generating agencies when he suddenly fell ill. Now to security matters. And we take you to Ebonyi State, where gunmen attacked the Isheke police station on Wednesday night. As a result, 5 suspected members of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, were killed in the gun duel with the police. The attack occurred when the gunmen arrived at the station in 2 cars and engaged police in a 30-minute shootout. Reinforcements from the police and army eventually arrived, and the gunmen were overpowered. As the planting season gets underway in Nigeria, concerns about security remain high for many farmers. The Defense Headquarters is stepping in, promising adequate protection from banditry and kidnapping. Major General Edward Buba, Director of Defense Media Operations, made this commitment on Thursday, stating that the military is dedicated to ensuring a successful farming season and food security in Nigeria.
Banditry and insurgency have severely impacted Nigeria's farming sector, with kidnappings and attacks forcing farmers off their land and driving up food prices. However, the Defense Headquarters has pledged maximum protection for farmers during this farming season.
We have inserted protection of farmers in our operational plan, particularly at this time that we are in the rainy season. This is in order that we can have a bumper harvest so that citizens can have food on their table.
This assurance comes as a welcome relief to farmers who have faced repeated attacks and kidnappings, and is expected to boost confidence in the sector and enhance food security. Major General Edward Buba, Director of Defense Media Operations, highlighted the successes of the Joint Task Force in various theaters, showcasing the military's commitment to securing the country.
In the second quarter of this year, troops neutralized 2,245 terrorists, arrested 3,682 suspects, and other criminal elements. Troops also rescued 1,993 kidnapped hostages, most of whom are back with their families now, and we recovered 2,783 weapons with 64,547 assorted ammunition during the second quarter of 2024. is if you know something, you say something. This war that we are in is for all of us. If we allow it to linger, it is because we allowed it as a people to linger. We all have a responsibility. You see something, you say something.
While acknowledging the challenges, General Buba assured that the military is making progress, but emphasized that completely defeating the terrorists will require time and effort, likening counter-insurgency to marathon rather than a sprint. Godwin Amundi, Rapid Television News.
In a major breakthrough, the Federal Capital Territory FCT Police Command successfully apprehended 4 armed robbers responsible for the heinous murder of retired Army Brigadier General U.M. Udokwere in Abuja. The suspects who had been on the run were finally caught and brought to justice, bringing an end to a high-profile case that had sent shockwaves across the nation.
The Commissioner of Police of the Federal Capital Territory, Bennett Igwe, paraded suspects arrested for various offenses, including the high-profile murder of retired Brigadier General U.M. Harold Udokwere. The suspects, 4 in number, were arrested in connection with the general's death on June 22, 2024. Notably, one of the suspects is a wanted kidnapper who is part of one of the 4 notorious kidnapping groups terrorizing the FCT and its environs.
I want to inform you that we have gotten the killers of retired Brigadier General U.M. Udokwere Harold. 4 of them, plus 2 others that we are declaring wanted now, immediately. 4 of them plus the 2 we are declaring wanted are the people that raided the house and killed the general. We have recovered the knife they used in stabbing him, and we have recovered the phone of the general from them. 2 of them that have been declared wanted, we are getting them. They have just left with the gun of the pistol of the general, which I promise you we are going to recover.
Additionally, the police have arrested the chief informants and logistic suppliers, as well as POS operators who have been aiding and abating kidnappers in their criminal activities.
He is their chief informant in the whole kidnapping in Abuja. He is responsible and manning 4 camps of kidnappers that are not in Abuja. Whether the camp is in Kuyeri, in Gidandogo, in Kagaruko, he is in charge of pointing who and who to be kidnapped. He receives his own share of the ransom. So we caught him.
The Commissioner of Police has reaffirmed the command's unwavering commitment to enhance the security landscape of the nation's capital. He emphasized that the command will continue to adapt strategies to effectively combat evolving criminal activities. From Abuja, Irene Okechukwu, Rapid TV News.
The Customs Officers' Wives Association, COWA, marked the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking with a call to action on the theme. The evidence is clear. Invest in prevention and treatment. Our correspondent was at the event and filed this report.
The president of COWA, Mrs. Kikelomo Adeni, advised students and Nigerians to stay away from drug abuse and substance use, emphasizing the importance of being ambassadors of peace and campaigning against drug use. The event, termed "The Evidence is Clear, Invest in Prevention and Treatment," aimed to sensitize the public, especially the young, about the dangers of drug abuse.
We need to start from our children, because they are our future. They are still growing. If they are aware about it now, it will be better for us as a nation and as parents. And we at COWA, we are mothers, we are nurturers, we are the pillars of the society.
Barrister Festus Onifadi, coordinator of the Bridge and Bond Development Initiative, stressed the need to educate the youth as drug abuse has become a widespread issue in the country.
The campaign continues. We must rid our society of drug abuse. And as you know, drug use and abuse is closely related to crime. We want to solve the issue of crime, want to solve the issue of criminality. We have to go to the root, which is stop the spread stop the abuse of drugs.
Students in attendance also shared their newfound understanding of the harmful effects of drug use on their future.
I learned that we should not be taking drugs. If you see friends that are taking cocaine, marijuana, just tell them to stop. It will not lead you anywhere. Like some people can take it and their kidney will be damaged, heart failure, everything.
Well, I learned about the dangers of drug abuse and substance abuse. I also learned that we need to invest in the prevention and the treatment of drug abuse. Okay, my advice to my colleagues or friends or maybe even elderly people is that they should stay away from friends that do drugs, so that their life will not be wasted.
The event aimed to promote prevention and treatment and encourage Nigerians to take a stand against drug abuse.
The Abia State government has joined forces with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, to tackle drug abuse and related social crimes. The collaboration aims to address the growing concern of drug abuse and phone theft, among other social crimes in the state.
National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Abia State Command marked the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking with a notable event aimed at raising awareness about the dangers of drug abuse. Speaking during the event, the Chief of Staff to the Governor of Abia State, Caleb Aljagba, urged young students and youths to stay focused and avoid distractions, stating that this will help them be assets and not liabilities.
It's important that the journey of life be understood. When you lack an understanding of a thing, the tendency is that you will abuse it. So the best form of prevention should be to embrace knowledge, and that is why we are here. Most times, people have taken to drug as a way to compensate their inadequacies because of peer pressure, because of several other things. But then, as a very compassionate father and governor, a focused leader, a whole lot is being done in order to make sure that the youthful generation, the youthful population compete with the best anywhere in the world. So it's not a coincidence that Abia youths are doing excellently well wherever they are found.
Also speaking, the wife of the governor, Priscilla Oti, who was represented by the wife of the deputy governor, Adazi Emitu, commended the NDLEA for the relentless efforts and outstanding work in combating drug abuse in the state, also highlighting the agency's success in reducing drug-related incidents and praised their dedication to safeguarding the community.
I want to most sincerely appreciate the leaders of the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency in the state for their commitment to the fight against illicit drug trafficking and consumption. You have led the fight with great courage, admirable professionalism, and a genuine sense of service in the community. Your regular campaigns and enlightenment program using different media channels, arranged and diligent prosecutions of culprits. The related substances over the years have gone a very long way in keeping our communities safe while redirecting the minds of our young ones on the dangers associated with consumption of drugs and harmful substances in the war against illicit drugs, for their courage and commitment to keeping individuals, family and communities safe from the multi-phasic dangers and drug trafficking and abusers.
The NDLEA also reiterated its dedication to sustaining the momentum in drug education and enforcement of drug laws to create a safer, healthier society. The International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking serves as a vital reminder of the ongoing global struggle against substance abuse and illegal drug trade. It highlights the need for continued awareness, education, and cooperation among nations to tackle this pervasive issue. As communities and governments work together, the hope for a healthier, drug-free future becomes more attainable. Oluwapelumi King Adeniyi, reporting for Rapid TV.
This is Rapid Television. You are still watching Week in Review. Stay with us as we'll return back right after this short break. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. And if you are just joining us, you are watching Rapid Television's Week in Review, coming to you from our Abuja studio. Now, let's dive deeper into more stories of the preceding week. The Lagos State government has heightened surveillance and response to a potential cholera outbreak, urging citizens to take precautionary measures. Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, assured access to free treatment to contain the spread.
In the last few weeks of the outbreak of cholera in Lagos, there's been several interventions by the Lagos State government. To update the public on recent developments, the state government, through the Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, held a press briefing. The press briefing had members of the state executive and relevant agencies providing latest updates on the outbreak of cholera. The commissioner started the press briefing by giving the total number of suspected cases so far in Lagos.
We have the data that represents the total number of suspected cholera cases, and that number is 579. Out of this 579, we have unfortunately experienced 29 deaths. Most of these deaths were caused by patients presenting very late at a stage where we could not resuscitate them because they had severe dehydration, and many patients were actually brought in dead. Out of all the samples we were able to collect, we were able to identify Vibrio cholera. So this is indeed a confirmed case of a cholera outbreak by a subtype 01 that is known to us to be very contagious.
The commissioner also spoke on distribution between the public and private hospital, stating that patients presented more to the public facility.
You can see that majority of the patients presented to our public facilities, either our secondary general hospitals or our primary healthcare facilities. So we had 209 suspected cases in our general hospitals and 193 in our primary healthcare facilities. We also had a significant number presenting to private sector hospitals with 152. Our military and police and security facilities and our tertiary hospitals, Lasuth and Luth.
The commissioner stated that the government is in complete control with an incident command structure.
One of the main principles of curbing the spread of a dangerous pathogen is to offer treatment absolutely free of charge of any suspected case in our government hospitals. That makes sure that we can attract patients to our facilities without them worrying that they have to pay. It allows us to remove from community patients who are infected. Thereby, we're able to slow down the transmission and bring an end to an outbreak.
Also speaking, Commissioner for Basic Secondary Education in Lagos State gave update on activities carried out in schools to prevent the spread of cholera.
Where we ensure that we have stable water supply to our students and pupils so that they can wash their hands adequately before they enter the classroom and probably after playing during break period. And we also have put in place a team that checks the food vendors in the schools to ensure that we have a very safe food and fruit that is being sold to our students and pupils. We also have a team that check regularly our toilet facilities, and we have also trained and enlightened our teachers on the necessary step to take.
Citizens were advised to help the government by adhering to preventive measures as well as presenting early when contracted. Esther Omelo, Rapid TV, Lagos.
And now to the education sector. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFund, on Thursday approved the disbursement of student loans to successful applicants, marking a significant milestone in its mission to support students with financial aid. The move is expected to empower the next generation of leaders through education, with 1.2 million students in federal tertiary institutions in the country already registered for the program. In a bid to strengthen the framework for disability rights in Nigeria, a two-day national co-creation stakeholders convening was held in Abuja. The convening brought together a diverse range of stakeholders, including government officials, disability rights advocates, and representatives from various organizations to review the National Disability Act post-moratorium. In a bid to strengthen the framework for disability rights in Nigeria, a two-day national co-creation stakeholders convening was held in Abuja. The convening brought together a diverse range of stakeholders, including government officials, disability rights advocates, and representatives from various organizations to review the National Disability Act post-moratorium. The aim was to identify gaps in the current legislation, develop strategies for improved implementation and enforcement, and explore ways to promote the rights and empowerment of persons with disabilities in Nigeria.
The event brought together stakeholders to review the National Disability Act post-moratorium and explore ways to promote the rights and empowerment of persons with disabilities in Nigeria. The convening aimed to identify gaps in the current legislation and develop strategies for improved implementation and enforcement. Representing the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is the Director, Special Duties, Agnes Aneke, who said President Bola Tinubu's signing of the African Union Charter for the Rights of People Living with Disabilities marked a turning point in Nigerians' commitment towards inclusivity and accessibility.
Strengthening of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, development of the National Disability Policy, increase in accessibility features in public infrastructure, enhanced access to education and health care for persons with disabilities.
The keynote speaker, Dr. Chris Nwanoro, says the government has formulated policies that potentially make life easy for persons living with disabilities. However, more needs to be done in the area of education and empowerment.
Our president, through his renewed hope agenda, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed a person with disability as part of his cabinet. In the past, it has not been like that. I salute the courage of all of us who fought towards signing this bill, making it to become an act which the president signed.
Dr. Chike Okogu, founder of the Center for Ability Rehabilitation and Empowerment, is advocating for 1% of Nigerians' annual budget to be allocated for advancing the lives of persons with disabilities.
We're saying that for 30 million people, an estimated number, not my figure, but that of the UN figures, we're now saying instead of 15% of the national budget, can we do 1% of our country's budget? These are documents that have been proposed at the African Union, at the ECOWAS level, and even at the United Nations level. And what this means in the struggle for persons with disabilities is that if you give us 1% of your country's budget, you will have more resources to be able to do the work for PWDs.
Representative of the National Commission for Persons with Disability, Patience Ugolo Dixon, called for concerted efforts and collective voice to advance inclusion for persons with disabilities.
We need a collective voice, and not just a collective voice, we need a collective work together for us to be able to advance inclusion, as we have stated in the theme for today's event.
With stakeholders united in their call for greater inclusivity and accessibility, the convening marked an important step towards a more equitable society for all Nigerians.
And now moving on to business. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the number of estimated electricity customers rose by 10.22% to 6.43 million in the first quarter of 2024. The report also said total number of electricity consumers rose by 210%, a 1.78% increase from 12.12 million in the fourth quarter of 2023 to 12.33 million in the first quarter of 2024. And to the international scene, where Kenyan President William Ruto has bowed to pressure from protesters and withdrew a controversial tax hike that sparked widespread protests across Kenya. At least 23 people were killed and scores wounded in clashes between police and protesters. The president has conceded to the demands of the protesters and will start a dialogue with Kenyan youth and implement austerity measures, including cuts to the presidency's budget. This development comes after a week of protest and unrest, which saw thousands take to the streets and demand for political overhaul. And in England, junior hospital doctors began a 5-day strike just a week before the general election. They are demanding a 35% pay increase, citing a cost of living crisis and poor working conditions. The strike is the latest in a series of protests by doctors over the past 18 months, amid bad luck caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. This strike comes as the National Health Service, NHS, faces unprecedented dissatisfaction, with less than a quarter of Britons satisfied with the service. The election is set for July 4th, and the future of the NHS is a major issue. And finally, to the world of sports, where Rangers International Football Club emerged as the champion of the Nigerian Premier Football League's 2023-2024 season. The Flying Antelopes secured a 2-1 victory over Gombe United in Jos, clinching their 8th league title with 70 points from 38 matches. They received a trophy and a prize of 150 million naira from the Nigeria Football Federation president. Rangers International will represent Nigeria in the African Champions League alongside Remo Stars. To track event, Nigeria's women 4x100-meter team has won gold at the African Senior Athletics Championship, finishing with a record time of 42.76 seconds and beating rivals Ghana, who took silver, and Liberia, who took 3rd place. This victory marks another milestone for Nigeria, as they have maintained their gold-winning streak in this event since 2018. That's it for this week. Join us next week for another edition. Stay informed, and thanks for staying with us.